Okay, in this video what I'm going to do is create an object which has an emissive material that will flash, and then I will put an actual light in it so that it actually casts light into the scene. So this is the scene I'm going to use. First of all, I'm going to turn off the game settings so that there's no exposure compensation for the darkness of the scene. So the scene is now dark. I have myself a material made up. So let me bring across my material. So the important thing for the material is that I have a texture sample. So here is the light object. Let's just move this down. So this is basically my mesh. And it has a mask so that I have the areas of the object which are emissive in white and the areas of the object which are not emissive in black. And that's quite important because I don't want the whole object to glow. I just want parts of the object to glow. So you need a texture that will do that. I've just set the rest of the texture up as metal, as can be seen on this object. So there's no other texture work because it's just a demonstration. And then the key part of this is that the white channel, which is the emissive, is first multiplied by the light color, which in this case is a yellow. I could parameterize this as well. And then it is also multiplied by the light intensity. And the light intensity is a parameter. So it's a parametric value that feeds into this material. So that's what I have set up as far as material goes. So now I need to set up the actual blueprint class itself. So I'm going to make an actor blueprint class, and I'm going to call this BP_lamp. And so this will be a completely empty it's saving. It's a completely empty blueprint. First thing I'm going to need is my actual static mesh. So I'm going to have a static mesh. I'm going to call this lamp mesh. And for that, I'm going to load in my lamp. So that's the lamp. I'm not actually going to load in the material instance for this because I will dynamically load the material instance at the begin play. So I'm just going to compile that, and that's my the basic viewport hierarchy view. I will add a light, a real actual point light afterwards. But what I need to do is I need to set up the event graph so that we make a dynamic material that we can access and that we can manipulate the emissive parameter, which if we have a quick look at my lamp material instance. So this is the lamp material instance. A material instance is different from the material. It's parametric. And you can see that basically I have a light intensity input. And if I crank this up, the light will glow. And if I turn it down, I can get it to effectively turn off. So that's what my light intensity does. Okay, so let's go back to the event play. And the event play is something that triggers just once right at the beginning of the level. So I need to create a dynamic material because the material is going to change, which means it needs to be dynamic. So there's my create dynamic material instance. I don't need to worry about these input values because I'm just making it, but I do need to store the material that I create. So I'm going to promote this to a variable, and I'm going to call this lamp_mat. So I now have the material stored in this value, and then I need to obviously pick which material it is. So it's my lamp material instance. So that's what I'm loading, and then I'm storing it in this variable. And then I need to apply this to the actual object, and the object is lamp mesh. And if I grab it from the components list, I will get it. And then I want to find set material. So here's my set material, and I'm going to plug this in. And so now I've applied this material to the mesh. And then the last thing I need to do is to set up a timer, because I want to change the intensity of that material every couple of seconds. So I am going to create a function by timer. So I'm going to search for timer, and I should be able to set timer by function name, which is what I want. I'm going to set this for, say, every 2 seconds, and it's going to loop. So every 2 seconds, it's going to call a particular function. So I need to design and build a function. So I'm going to go over to my function graph, and I'm going to click new function. I'm going to call this flash lamp. And if I just pop back to the event graph, I can type in flash lamp. So now this function will be called every 2 seconds. And at this stage, it's probably a good idea to test this out. So here's my flash lamp, and I'm just going to do a print. I'm going to leave it as hello, a nod to hello world. And I'm just going to play, and there's no actor in the scene, so it won't do anything. So I need to put at least one actor in the scene. So here is my BP lamp, and I'm going to put it up here. And what we should see is that the material should appear on the lamp, and it doesn't, but I do see the word hello. Okay, so the hello is working, but the material hasn't been applied. Because I didn't plug it in. Need to plug that in. Okay, so we now have that applied. Let's compile, test that again. This time the material appears on the object. Okay, so I know that that code is all working, and hello should appear every couple of seconds. Let's see if it does it again. Probably need something other than hello to appear. I can test this by going into the flash graph and see that it's firing. So that's all working. Okay. So let's have a look at the code for flash lamp. We need to do a little bit more than just print out a string. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a Boolean to determine whether the lamp is on or off, and then we're going to use that as a variable so that we store the state of the Boolean. So I'm going to add a variable. It's already going to give me a Boolean by default. That's kind of like the first thing that it does. And I'm going to label this lamp on. So if this is true, then the lamp is on. And I'm going to get that. And then I'm going to do a branch, which is basically an if statement. So if the lamp is on, we want to turn the lamp off. And if the lamp is off, we want to turn it on. So then what I will do is I will set. So if the lamp is on, I'm going to turn it off, and I can press Ctrl W, and then if the lamp is off, I'm going to turn the lamp on. So that sets up the logic. The next thing I need to do is I need to change the scalar parameter in the material. So I have a variable which is my material. So I'm going to get my lamp material. And then I need to set the scalar parameter. So set scalar parameter value. And the parameter value is light intensity. So this is if the lamp is off. So I'm going to set the value to 0, and then I'm going to copy that again. And this time I'm going to set the value to, let's say, 2000. And again, I'm going to set that up for the material. And let's compile that. Let's test. So the lamp goes on and the lamp goes off. Okay, that 2000 value is clearly way too high for the intensity, but it's definitely working. It's definitely flashing the lamp on. Okay, let's turn that down to, say, 400. Right. Okay, so I now should have a lamp that turns on and off. But it's not actually casting any light into the scene, it's just an emissive glow that we are seeing. There's no actual real light. So if you also want actual light, we need to go back to the viewport, and we need to set this up so that we have an actual virtual light in the scene. So I'm going to add a component. I'm going to go to point light. I'm going to move this up a little bit. Let's not off that grid snap. There we go. So I'm going to turn the attenuation radius down because I don't really need it to be that big. I'm going to change my light color to a similar color. I could parameterize this, but I think I will leave that as an exercise for you. So I have my light color, and then what I'm going to do obviously is change the intensity as well as changing the light intensity on the material. Okay. Point light is probably fine for the name, so I'm just going to compile that. So I'm going to go back to my flash lamp script, and I now have a point light that I can access. So I'm going to get that. And what I need to do is to set the intensity of this. So set intensity. So if the light's off, we've got a value of 0, so we should have an intensity of 0. Control W, plug this in, and set our intensity to maybe a couple of thousand. It was 5,000 by default. And again, I'm going to hit play. And so we can see that the light is turning on and off, but we can see there's really nasty shadows. So that is caused by the actual object shadow casting. So we need to fix that as well. So to fix that, I'm going to go back to the viewport. I'm going to select the lamp mesh. I'm going to scroll down to lighting, and I'm going to turn off cast shadows, because it really shouldn't cast shadows, or if it did, it would be casting very, very blurry shadows. Okay, let's play this again. So you can see that we now have a light that's turning on and off, and it's actually illuminating objects in the scene. So that's a real light that will actually illuminate, as you can see on the gun. The gun is now really getting illuminated by the light. And that's how to create a blinking light.